All right, here we go. Another Q&A with Dylan. Dylan, what's happening?
What's up, Jack? I got about 8 questions for you. Gonna start with, do you see any health benefits to fa intermittent fasting or fasting in general? Because there's a lot of intermittent fasting
Um,
people out there, and what we're doing kind of goes against that a little bit.
sure. Yeah, I think there's benefits probably to every approach. It's just what works for you. I've done intermittent fasting where I've done 16 and 8s, 16 hours not eating, 8 eating. I've even done intermittent fasting and then 1 day a week on Sundays, no food. And then I've done up to I think 4 or 5 day complete fasts. I think those are very stressful, and that's proven through a lot of kind of just medical literature as well, is when you don't have carbohydrates, especially for your liver, you run out of liver glycogen, and then your liver is going to release stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline. Those are going to break down and really pull protein from your muscle. That's going to get turned into a carbohydrate via gluconeogenesis during that process. But that process also releases ammonia, and ammonia leads to another bunch of other issues within the body. So I think it can cause issues. I think also, fasting for a spiritual exercise can be beneficial. I think doing sometimes hard things stressfully, I've done that spiritually, and I think it can be beneficial. So it depends on the circumstance, but relying on intermittent fasting for weight loss, and realize I said weight loss rather than fat loss, because I think when you do a lot of fasting, you're going to be doing more weight loss than fat loss. You're going to be losing more than a lot of it's not going to be body fat. You're going to be losing a lot of muscle and a lot of muscle glycogen rather than losing body fat. So when you're eating frequently, you're allowing your liver to actually have plenty of
Hmm.
glycogen, have more T3, burn body fat. So there's places for it. Would I recommend it for fat loss for people? No. Do most people who stop intermittent fasting, like eventually people like keto and carnivore, intermittent fasting is something that most people don't maintain for the rest of their life. And I find that weight loss, you want it to be something you can sustain for the rest of your life. So when people stop intermittent fasting and they go back to eating throughout the day and they're not really good at portion control, they might gain weight back.
Yeah.
So that would be a caveat behind that.
So like as you intermittent fast or as you do these extended fasts, your body is going to start to pull from more muscle than it is from fat, and you're just going to
Yeah.
shrink. It's not even going to
You
be
for sure. For
okay.
sure. And you lose your metabolic rate goes down significantly. A lot of people
Mhm.
come to me from intermittent fasting, and I'll post before and afters. I mean, I got another guy coming up this week, lost like 15 plus pounds, got shredded, and was eating less before at 200 pounds and couldn't lose any more body fat, and just was eating maybe once, twice a day, because your body goes basically into hibernation mode. It's under such stress that it's like, well, we're not getting enough food. We need to slow our metabolic rate down so then we can still survive. Rather, we want to speed the metabolic rate up, burn body fat.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think about ashwagandha as a supplement?
Mm. Yeah, it's something I've used
Yeah.
in the past. It's used to reduce cortisol. That's kind of the
Hmm.
main function of it, to then, as a byproduct, improve testosterone. I think it's very overrated. It also leads to a very not ideal side effect called anhedonia, and that's emotional numbness. I actually got warned about this from a friend who took it, and then I was using it. I'm a big self-experimenter, so most supplements or diet strategies I've tried, and that's typically why will advise against them if I don't find them to be helpful because I've experienced them. And anhedonia is something I experienced. I took this supplement. I was starting to work with a bunch of different kind of functional health people last year for thyroid issues, and they put me on a bunch of different supplements that I didn't realize had ashwagandha. And after like 3 or 4 months, I just didn't. I was just like, I just didn't care. I was just like an asshole a little bit, and and it impacted my relationship that I had at the time. And I was just like very much it. I didn't realize it, and then it like hit an aha moment. I was like, holy cow! I remember my buddy told me 3 months in, you feel it. I did all this. Then I started
Yeah.
researching. All right, what does this happen? And it very much causes this emotional numbness similar to SSRIs. So I would highly recommend against it. You can reduce cortisol by having more sugar, more salt, more
Hmm.
calcium. Those are going to reduce cortisol, improving sleep, bag breathing before bed, increasing CO2, baking soda, progesterone, cyperheptadine, thyroid. There's so many other ways to reduce cortisol, grounding, morning sunlight, blue light glasses, protecting your skin from blue light. So I think it's a band-aid, but that band-aid has can be harmful for you and relationships. So that would be my cautions against it.
Yeah. Kind of thinking about Ray Peat, what he preached. He advised a lot about getting more of your protein from dairy
Mhm.
rather than animal like muscle meat. So
Yes.
why does he advise so much for dairy when there's if you look at the modern diet culture, dairy is not something that a lot of people are doing. Uh, what is the difference in getting your protein from milk rather than from muscle meat?
Yeah, it's the amino acid profile. So in the muscle meat, going back, many times the people of wealth in society didn't always really have the muscle meat. It was more the organ meat. It was more of these stews, things high in collagen, the gelatinous types of cuts of meat, the bone marrows, the things of that sort. Now, the reason is because there's 20 amino acids, but there's some that are inflammatory, and these inflammatory amino acids also slow down your thyroid function. They bind to your thyroid. So those would be tryptophan, methionine, cysteine, would be namely a few of those, and those are really high in muscle meat. You're going to get plenty of those, even high in egg yolks. I mean, not egg yolks, but egg whites. They're going to be high in those too. So not having too much of those or having those with calcium for sure to help kind of with iron a lot of times, and then having those maybe with like a bone broth is helpful because the milk, not only does milk have very much low amounts of those inflammatory amino acids, the tryptophan, the cysteine, the methionine, but it also has a lot of really quality amino acids like glycine. But milk also has progesterone, pregnenolone, and thyroid within it. So you're getting pro-metabolic things within milk, and then other non-inflammatory. Milk would be also great too because it's got calcium. Calcium reduces PTH. That's parathyroid hormone, and that's typically, if that's high, metabolism is typically slowed, and that's an easy thing to do is increase calcium intake.
Yeah.
So that would be a main thing. Calcium is, I mean, it's massive for metabolism. I think that's really
Mhm.
underrated. And then yogurt can be helpful as well. That's got a little bit. Yogurt and cottage cheese do have a little bit more of the inflammatory amino acids than the uh, the milk, but they have less than the muscle meats. So that's kind of where you'd find the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of going away from the food, moving into functional systems that you can use in your life. We talk a lot about EMFs that your phone produces. What are some easy ways to maybe block some of these other than separating yourself from your phone? If you're walking and you use your phone to track your steps, or you're just looking at your phone, what are some easy ways while you're doing that to protect against EMFs? Is there any way to?
Yeah, it's nuanced. If you're using it to track your steps, putting your phone on airplane mode will help.
Hmm.
So that would be
Really?
something I'd recommend. Yeah,
That
airplane mode
stops?
is, yeah,
Whoa, I didn't know that.
yeah. So I'll sleep with, if my phone's in my room, it's on airplane mode. Definitely recommend that. If you're walking around with your phone in your pocket, airplane mode for sure.
Hmm.
Or don't have it in your pocket because it can lead to testicle cancer. So usually on the side that your phone pocket in. So I'm a right side phone guy. So if you had your phone on your right side all the time, then you're going to typically get would be higher likelihood of a tumor on your right testicle. So being aware of that, I think is really important. Talking on your phone, I think using wired headphones is
Hmm.
massive. So many people use Bluetooth, especially these EMF driven AirPods, and those are just, I mean, I've noticed a big difference as I switched to wired headphones probably a year ago and then blue light glasses. Those really, I used to have a lot of headaches, and those help tremendously. Is the wired headphones would be huge. So if you're using headphones, like in the gym, I wear wired headphones, and it can be kind of a pain in the ass, but it's it's worth it for sure. So that would be a big one. Aside from that, sleeping, I'd like to turn my Wi-Fi router off and
Hmm.
try to unplug all the electricity. Negative ion air filters can be helpful too. From
Yeah.
EMFs, aside from that, probably not sleeping with a device on. A
Yeah.
lot of guys will ask me, I've got a lot of like people with a lot of money, and they're like, should I have this Whoop, this, that, or a Ring? I'm like, you're just mainlining EMFs into you
Yeah.
24/7.
I was gonna ask you about that too,
Yeah,
because
like I
I
think
have a
those
Whoop and
are,
I was wondering about that.
yeah, unfortunately, I think, I don't, I think a lot of these are just marketing ploys.
Hmm.
When you feel good, when you don't feel good. And I think the temperature and the heart rate when you wake up, and if you wake up with morning wood and you wake up either in a freaking ready to go or you feel kind of shitty, you pretty much know. So there's ways we can improve sleep, but I think sometimes over measuring it, people just end up stressing about it. Then they're like, oh my gosh, my sleep score wasn't perfect. It's like how you live life, like how you actually feel, the energy you feel. Not everything has to be super quantitative. Some things can be qualitative. And so I guess that would be my
Yeah,
long
I
answer on
agree.
that.
I was gonna ask you
Coffee
about
too.
coffee.
Coffee reduces impact
Yeah.
and impact from radiation, so uh, that can be helpful as well.
hmm I feel like a lot of people now, myself included, um, can get a little paralysis by analysis with their lifestyle, what they're doing, and then it almost counteracts what they're trying to do with stress. So I think that's important. That's something that I've been working on. But if you're in the gym and we have been working out using your plan, do you think supersetting takes gains off the table rather than just doing each exercise at a time? Or do you think supersetting is good? Because in football we supersetted a lot. Now that I'm out of football, I'd never superset. Do you think that there's a happy medium, or you think that one is better than the other?
I think it depends on the person. I think depending what phase you're in, like your new plan will probably have. I do personally. I'm a big superset guy. I do a lot of
hmm
supersets. Now it depends what you're doing. So when you're cutting weight aggressively, sometimes there's multiple theories. One theory is, hey, we want to increase caloric burn while training. So we're going to superset. We're going to add a bunch of reps, a bunch of stuff. The other theory is, hey, we want to maintain strength. And a lot of guys like yourself, former linemen, we don't want to feel weak. I've kind of came to a place where, due to injuries and other things, I know my strength's not that high. So I'm going to superset. I'm going to get a nice pump. For other guys, we want to maintain strength during the cut and keep, maybe volume a little bit lower, intensity high. So it depends. I think supersetting, I'm a big superset fan with arms. Like yesterday, I superset almost everything. So if I'm doing, pull downs, I'll do superset with triceps or other things. So I think they can be helpful. Um, I think a lot of the old school bodybuilders were huge in the 60s and
Yeah.
70s. Steve Reese and all these guys were huge superset people. So I think it can be useful, but it's person dependent. It's how you feel.
hmm
How about you? You like supersetting?
I do. I think that that is something that I want to start doing again, just because,
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago with pre-exhaustion. I think when you superset, you get to that point of hypertrophy a little bit faster. Instead of needing to take a ton of reps or go up super high in weight, with the superset, you're able to get to that point of feeling like you're really breaking down that muscle instead of having to put a ton of stress on that exact thing, doing that one movement. You can do it by doing three, two or three different things at the same time. I do like it. Yeah, I enjoy doing it in football quite a bit.
Yeah, it's fun. And you get a good sweat. You're working good.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I think yeah, sweating in the gym is a big thing. You go into the gym and you leave the same level that you walked in. I feel like I didn't even work out.
I'm trying to be soaked. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the more sweat and output, and it's the nice thing about supersets too is you can condense your workout a little bit. I like
hmm
to be most of my training, even including core, is less than an hour. So
hmm
I like to be I'm not a big rest person. Like I was at the gym yesterday, my brother and his friend were talking between sets, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just trying to hit my reps. I'm like they're doing T-bar. I'm waiting for them. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do reverse flies. I'm gonna do shrugs. I'll go back to T-bar, reverse fly, shrug, T-bar. So
Yeah.
it's I like that intensity in the gym, especially as you're working or you got a busy schedule. I think there's a time and a place to lift heavy. And like if I'm deadlifting or something, I'm probably not supersetting with heavy
hmm
deadlifts because I just enjoy heavy deadlifts. But if I'm doing other things, yeah. And sometimes you got to accept too when you're supersetting, the weight might not be as heavy,
Yeah.
That's okay.
hmm Um, this is something that I've wondered for a while, and I Google it all I want, and I really don't get it. But what are the differences in fats? Unsaturated, saturated, trans fat, polyunsaturated. How are they different?
Yeah, it's the amount of I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm like a molecular scientist here, but it's the amount of carbon chains and how many carbon chains there are.
hmm
So, and then how much they can basically how stable they are as fats. So the more stable they are, the less inflammation they have in the body. So when you're looking at a saturated fat, it's a very stable bond. So they're not going to have a lot of inflammation. They're not going to lead to a lot of carcinogens within the body. Uh, Now within a monounsaturated fat, okay, so there's there's double bonds. There's only one in those. In polyunsaturated fats, there's many more. So then they're less stable under heat and
Oh
oxygen.
yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's you're an engineer, so you get this stuff. But it's the stability of the fat. So the saturated fat are the most stable, and then the monounsaturated, which would be an avocado and olive oil, those would be somewhat stable, still solid. And then the polyunsaturated fats are the least stable. And a lot of times when you eat them,
Oh
they're already rancid within your body. So then they're
yeah.
leading to there's things called mucopolysaccharides which build up in your heart and your intestines and theorized from Dr. Broda Barnes. He wrote a book about heart attacks, and Peat talks about polyunsaturated fats, how they bind to your thyroid and cause these essential fatty acids actually build up in the brain, lead to Alzheimer's, dementia, many other things, feed cancers,
Hmm.
because the polyunsaturated fats tend to lead to increased endotoxin, tend to lead to higher amounts of serotonin, histamine, and estrogen. So those are all inflammatory hormones, which
Yeah.
cause a lot of issues throughout the body. So people, typically like Jack, I love peanut butter, and that's a polyunsaturated fat that can cause definitely some inflammation, especially digestive wise. I know for me personally, it fucks my digestion up. Even fish
Hmm.
oil, the cold water fish are the ones who are having the polyunsaturated fats. So those are the fish oils tend to be inflammatory as well. Does that make sense for the differences?
Yeah, that so you're trying to in our case, we're trying to take down fats. If we're eating fat, we're trying to take down the most stable form, which is going to be that saturated fat. Is
Correct.
that
And
what
your
you're
body
saying? Yeah.
creates, yes, and that's what your body creates as well. Your body can
Okay.
create fat in its own. That's why you can go on a fat-free diet, and they almost deem you go to hyper metabolism, hyperthyroid, because your metabolic rate spikes so high.
Hmm.
And then you use carbohydrates through de novo lipogenesis. You can create saturated fat, cholesterol, through your liver through carbohydrates. So you don't
Hmm.
technically you could actually survive without eating any fat.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna. Oh, bag breathing. We talked about this last week when I couldn't sleep. What is that, and what does that do for sleep? Is that
Yeah,
literally just breathing in a bag, or?
correct. That would be breathing. That would be doing you wrap the paper brown bag. I have my
Uh-huh.
fighters do this, especially after you get hit in the head, because it helps for brain damage. But you just wrap it around, and then
Hmm. What does that do for the body by doing that?
it increases CO2 every time you breathe out. It's more CO2 every time you're breathing in. It's being just isolated in there, so it's literally just the CO2. It's higher and higher percentage of CO2 every time you breathe in. So it's helping, and CO2 is anti-stress. CO2 is a byproduct of healthy metabolism, and actually is going to improve the ability of your red blood cells to carry oxygen. So you need CO2
Huh.
to then oxygenate the muscle tissue, the cells, all of that stuff. So it's very helpful and anti-inflammatory. They're very good for the brain as well. Helpful for digestion. That's why baking soda can help for digestion. Big
Yeah.
fan of that. Or intra-training. But I mean, even past clients who played in the NFL, they said after practices or scrimmages, they would go in. They had CO2 masks that they would be giving the guys right after practice.
Really? That's
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. So it's a huge thing
Um,
for the brain.
yeah. I was looking at some stuff and saw something called anti-nutrients,
Yeah.
and it was talking about it in terms of a salad. What
Mhm.
does that mean? What is anti-nutrients?
Yeah. This is good. There's Kate Deering. She's got a great book, How to Heal Your Metabolism, and I'm pulling it up right now. But anti-nutrients are basically nutrients within food that are so difficult to digest that they're actually taking nutrients from your body to then get the nutrients within the food.
Yeah.
So say the food says it's got, as an example, maybe it's a nut, right? Maybe it has a ton of vitamin E, or vitamin K, or whatever it may have. And the argument is, hey, well, you eat this for that vitamin. But a lot of these anti-nutrients, these lectins, the like phytic acid, these different things within a lot of these, think about anti-nutrients are things that are hard to digest. So it takes a lot more energy for your body to digest this food. But using that energy, it's also taking minerals. And a lot of times it's taking minerals that are important for your electron transport chain, which is your metabolism. So maybe you'll take magnesium, which is essential for the 5 steps of the electron transport chain that may have a metabolism. That's why all these, vitamins and minerals are really important. So maybe it takes from your thyroid. You've got iodine, selenium, you got zinc, you've got all the, copper. And it takes these nutrients to break down maybe a kale, maybe a peanut butter, maybe a chia seed, maybe a difficult grain, maybe a quinoa, maybe a whatever it is, soy product. And then these will then take and you'd say leach these nutrients from your body, use it to digest it. And now you likely didn't absorb the nutrients from that food and you took nutrients from your own body to break it down.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's the issue behind it.
Yeah. I
So
see what
it's
you're
kind of
saying.
like a drain. It's a drain on those nutrients. Yep.
Um, I got two more. Got one that's a little fun. Do you think that Mike O'Hearn is natural?
No.
Because he claims natural.
Yeah, a lot of people claim natural, Dylan. That doesn't mean they are natural.
Yeah.
It's for brand sake. A lot of people just claim or don't talk about things because it wouldn't fit their brand.
Yeah.
I'll talk about even, I coach people and it's like I think it's an interesting one because people don't always want to admit. I was talking to somebody recently at the gym and he's was natural, now he's not natural. And he's like, I don't know if I should say it. I'm like, well, I just try to say I was never natural. So then you just never have to deal with that conversation. Not that I'm on steroids, but I'm whatever, use different things. And but no, I don't think Mike's natural.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, I don't think it's possible.
Everyone thought Liver King was natural. And I was like, I remember that. And I was like, guys,
That
some of my
was
friends were trying to say
crazy.
that. And I was like, guys, he's not natural. Like, what are you talking? Like, he was trying to go on Joe Rogan and explain it. I was like, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah. Uh, I've got a, I've got a buddy. Another O lineman. He
Mhm.
has crash dieted his way from 280 to 235, and now he's stuck.
Yeah, that checks
And
out.
he's just going to keep pulling calories. And I
Yeah.
want to give him some tips to help him. And this applies to anyone. If someone's at a point now where they're like, I can't lose any more weight. I've pulled my calories. I feel like crap. What are a few things I could tell him to be like, okay, this will help.
Yeah, my brother's friend, my brother, he's got 1 year left, but all of his friends graduated and he crash dieted. And then they were, my brother's like 235, 234, and he's eating 4,000 calories a day, maintaining weight as a tight end. They're like, how the hell are you eating this much? And he was explaining it to them. But they were going through similar issues. And it's interesting because if I had to guess, if he's 235, what is he eating? Like 2,000 calories a day?
Yeah, like 2000 to 2400, somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
somewhere low 2000s.
Hmm.
And is he training often? Like what's
A little bit. I think that was a big thing is I think he should train a little bit more. But yeah, he is for sake of the argument, yeah.
okay. So I would say, first thing I would start pulling fats. They're probably high or they're probably
Mm.
moderate. I'd probably say they're above 50. I'd pull fats as low as I could get them and I'd increase carbs and just replace them to 1 to 1. So I wouldn't change calories yet. I would just convert his
Yeah.
body
Okay.
into
Okay.
a carb burning machine, probably reduce protein, reduce fat, increase carbs. And then from there, you probably have to just accept you're going to enter a maintenance stage. And I would just try to continue to increase carbs, maybe 25 to 50 grams a week, maybe 25 grams, or yeah, you can start with 50 and then maybe 25. So maybe you go from maybe his carbs are at 150 and proteins maybe at 250, fats maybe at 75. I'd pull fats, between 30 and 40. I'd pull protein if he weighs 235 to 200. I'd increase carbs to maybe whatever that would equal out to keeping the same 250, 300. And I'd keep just inching that up, inching that up. And most of my carbs I would get from fruit. I would have a lot of fruit. I think you can have a lot more fruit and maintain your weight. Protein wise, I'd have a lot of Greek yogurt, a lot of milk, white fish, shrimp. Keep it low fat. Fat intake, maybe like 2 eggs and some coconut oil, raw carrots, stuff like that. And then carb cycle. I'd start to introduce carb cycling for sure. One high day a week where you're, I would say, 1.5 to two X in the medium day carbs. Really push that for him. And then that day, you can even reduce protein even lower to like 180 and fats to hopefully like nothing. And get your
Mm.
body turning into a carb burning machine, increase his basal metabolic rate, keep steps or increase steps to like, 12 to 15K a day. And then I would say, weightlifting probably 4 times a week for 45 minutes to an hour. You can use supplements as well. I would check his temperature in the morning, see if it's 97.8 or above upon waking, and then what it is after meals. If his thyroid's low, his heart rate's low, that could be indicators. Make sure sleep is good for sure. If you're not sleeping, it's tough to really lose good amounts of body fat if you're not sleeping more than 7 hours. Like that's kind of 7 hours is really big. I think, 13 to 15K steps is really big. These are just after working with probably like 130, 140 people by now. Those are just some things that are like if you hit those and you carb cycle, fat should typically come off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last question.
Tim.
Um, what are some my fiance wants me to ask, what are some healthy dessert or dessert recipes that we could make after dinner other than Haagen-Dazs?
Yeah. I think a good one that I haven't shared a lot is kind of making you can make almost like an apple crisp variation
Okay.
with maybe like Greek yogurt, and then you can make apple crisp in maybe like a masa harina style like shell, which is really solid. That's corn from lime. That's like Mexican style, and you can kind of make or you can do make like sourdough crisp or something like that. I'm a big apple fan, so I like apple, and then it pairs really well with some type of dairy. So I feel like apple crisp or like
Yeah.
applesauce with some honey and some Greek yogurt, I think tastes really good. Yeah, the ice cream and sorbet are two of my favorites. I like dates with dark chocolate and then honey on top. Those are really good. Those are almost like or you can do dates with you can put in maybe like a macadamia nut cream, which is low PUFA, and then you can drizzle dark chocolate on top, and then you can put them in the freezer, and there's like Reese cups.
Ooh, yeah.
And a lot of people like those too. Um, those would be some of my main ones. Any ones you like?
Really, I haven't done a ton of the one thing that we tried was sweet potato brownies. So we would do
Okay.
sweet potato with dark chocolate, and then I think there was something else we sprinkled on there to give it a little bit of a puffier or fluffier texture, but it didn't work out. So I think we could redo it and do it a little bit better. But I know that,
Chocolate covered strawberries.
oh yeah, that's we've done that. Yeah, you see all these desserts and it's just like God, that looks so good, but I just know that it's a inflammation bomb. But I know that
Yeah.
there's options out there that are good, and we've been talking about it. And I wanted to ask you because I've been forgetting to ask you for like 2 months, so I'm glad I remember now.
Yeah, I need to make a recipe book. My coach, Kate Deering, she's got a good recipe book. I checked that one out.
Okay.
That's got good. I like banana pancakes. I mean, I grew up eating those, so those are really good. You can make like kind of banana pancakes, banana muffins, anything like that. And then you have Greek yogurt with it. I think like a topping is always really, really good rather than like a whipped cream.
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of that. Aside from that, I'm a huge just yogurt bowl guy. I'm pretty basic.
Yeah.
Maple milk. I mean, I'll have that. Like I'll mix maple syrup with the milk. That's really tasty before bed. Or you can mix that with some ice, and then you can have like kind of like a maple vanilla milkshake. If you put a little vanilla extract in
Oh
there
yeah,
too,
yeah.
that's really good. So yeah, I need to make a recipe book though, because I have a bunch of different
Hmm.
things that I've thought of. But those are probably the main few. Yeah.
But that's all I
So
got for
all right,
now.
appreciate.
Yes,
It
sir.
sounds good.
Appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it, Dylan.